If you're looking at long-term real estate opportunities in Ottawa right now, I think Kanata deserves some serious attention, especially projects like this one. This is a mixed-use development featuring commercial on the bottom floor or on the ground floor with residential units above. And in my opinion, this type of project represents where a lot of the urban development is heading over in the next 10 or 20 years. And what makes this particularly interesting isn't just the project itself. It's the location, the timing, the structure, and the long-term fundamentals behind it. This project is currently in the early release phase with occupancy projected around 2028. And before people immediately focus on the timelines or the speculation, I think it's important to understand why projects like this exist and why investors pay attention in the first place. Developers release projects early because large-scale developments require capital, financing certainty, and buyer commitments long before construction is completed. And that's normal. And this isn't some unusual strategy. This is how major development projects are funded across Canada. But what matters more is understanding whether the fundamentals behind the project make sense long-term. And in this case, Kanata is a major part of this particular story. Kanata North continues evolving into one of Ottawa's strongest economic and employment corridors. You have major tech employers, you have high-income professionals, infrastructure investment, population growth, commercial demand, and continued housing demand. All of this creates long-term pressure for both residential and commercial real estate over time. And projects like this, when you combine residential living with ground floor commercial, are becoming increasingly aligned with how cities want to grow. More walkability, more density, more live-work environments, more localized services, less dependence on commuting long distance for absolutely everything. And that matters strategically because when you're evaluating real estate long-term, you're not just evaluating the building itself. You're obviously evaluating where is the city going, where employment is growing, and how people want to live, and how urban planning is evolving over time. A few weeks ago, I actually released another video discussing a commercial opportunity in Kanata North before it became broadly available publicly. And I think that's important because one of the biggest misconceptions in real estate is that the best opportunities always appear on MLS first. And that's wrong. In reality, many strong opportunities are identified through relationships, through conversations, and early visibility long before the broader market fully sees them. And that's one of the advantages of being connected to a large ecosystem like Metro City Property Group and having long-term relationships with builders and developers. And Matabee Homes is one of Metro City's larger clients, which gives us visibility into projects like this much earlier in the process. Now, that doesn't automatically make every project a great investment. You still need to evaluate the location, the demand, pricing, financing, timelines, and of course, long-term strategy. But early access absolutely matters because once projects hit MLS and the broader commercial platforms like CoStar, for example, competition increases dramatically and the best positioning opportunities are often already gone. One thing I also like about projects like this is that they make commercial ownership more accessible. And a lot of people think commercial real estate is only for institutional investors or large corporations, but commercial condo formats lower the barrier to entry significantly. For business owners currently leasing space, ownership may become an opportunity to start building equity instead of paying rent indefinitely. And for investors, mixed-use projects like this one can create multiple layers of long-term value. You got commercial demand, you got residential demand, you got a rental potential, appreciation, and of course, diversification. This is particularly interesting in areas like Kanata, where employment fundamentals remain strong. And depending on the unit mix, this type of project may attract healthcare professionals, wellness businesses, physios, chiros, massage therapists, dental, professional services, and technology related businesses. That's important because tenant quality and local demand matter enormously in commercial investing. Now, let's talk about early phase buying because this is where many investors either become overly emotional or overly speculative. Buying early phase is not automatically good or automatically bad. It's just strategic positioning. And the advantages are real. You get early pricing, you get first unit selection, you get layout flexibility, premium positioning within the development, and of course, long-term optionality. But investors also need to understand the risks. A project with projected 2028 occupancy dates is not a guarantee. There are delays everywhere. There are construction delays, there's supply chain delays, labor shortages. All of this is really just the reality of development itself. So the question becomes, does the project still make sense if the timelines shift or if they move slightly? That's a much more intelligent question than simply asking whether or not the prices will go up. Because sophisticated investors, as we all know, it's not about hype. It's about risk management, positioning, and a long-term strategy. And one thing I've learned over time is that the strongest investors usually think in decades, not in months. And they focus on strategic locations and long-term ownership, employment fundamentals, infrastructure growth, and optionality. And that's where projects like this become pretty interesting. Not because someone is trying to flip a unit quickly, but because mixed-use ownership in a growing economic corridor may fit into a broader long-term wealth-building strategy. And for one investor, this may represent a first step into commercial ownership. But for somebody else, it may be a portfolio expansion. And for a business owner, it may represent long-term operational stability and equity creation. The strategy depends on the person and it depends on where you are on the wealth journey. And all of this is part of a philosophy that I've been talking about more recently in the last couple of months. I believe real estate is not just about transactions. It's about a natural progression through the ownership cycles, different stages of ownership, different stages of investing, different stages of wealth building. And my goal long-term is to help people navigate that journey more strategically. Other realtors carve out a very narrow niche. My niche is helping people through the entire journey: ownership, investing, commercial, residential, expansion, and long-term strategic wealth building. That's really a much bigger picture. So if you're interested in this project, I have the floor plans, I have the pricing information, I have the performas per unit, so we can crunch some numbers. I have all the deposit structures. I have all the answers to the common questions that you're likely going to ask. And if you're trying to determine whether this type of opportunity fits your goals, well, I'd be happy to have that conversation with you. Again, go to my website at marcbelangerrealty.com and click on the readiness quiz. It's designed to help people think more strategically about where they are currently on their finances and of course where they want to be going long term. So the link obviously is in the description below, or just go visit my website. And if you enjoy this type of content, if you enjoy long-term investing discussions, real estate strategy, commercial opportunities, anything that is relating to wealth building conversations, subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. It really helps me get my message out to more people. So thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I enjoy putting these videos together on a weekly basis. Until the next video, stay smart, stay invested, reach out. I've got all the information on this unit. I look forward to helping you through it, and I'll see you in the next vid.